Welcome to episode 158 of Explode Your Expert Business Show, brought to you by gtex.org.uk. I'm your host, Simone Vincenzi, the Expert Strategist, and this is the podcast for experts who want to become the ultimate authority in their niche while making an impact in the world. And today I have the pleasure to interview our GTeX Lifetime Member, Andrea Crump. Andrea, known as the Fearless Love Coach, specializes in helping women finding and keeping their Mr. Right, and their success rates are absolutely astonishing. In this episode, we talk about how to balance your relationship while running your business, how to find the right person if you are an entrepreneur, and how to keep the perfect person for you once you've found it, him or her, without compromising your business. And as you know, as business owners, our relationship take a different approach than people that have, let's say, a normal kind of life. And it's important that both the parties in the relationship, both the members of the relationship, are on the same page. And that's why I believe that this interview is incredibly important, because as a business owner, we focus so much on business, and it's very easy to let the personal relationship and loving relationship just fall down the side. You find a lot of business owners that are divorced, their marriage is not working, their relationship are not working, and the business has a lot to do with it. But I think that as you will learn from the interview, there are a few things that you can do to make it work both in business and in your personal life. And that's something that I'm really passionate about, because I want to be the best husband I can be. And that's why I love this interview, and you must listen until the end. If you want to read all the transcript of the full interview, go to our website, www.gtex.org.uk/158. And then you can connect with Andrea as well there. If you want to become a GTeX member, and if you want to grow your business, explode it beyond limits, then apply to become a GTeX member, and you will have a chat with our business consultants that they're going to show you different options on how you can get involved, so we can help your business straight away. And if you want to make six-figure presentation, make sure that you download our Ultimate Selling from the Stage checklist, which is the ultimate checklist to help you create presentation that sells like crazy without using manipulative and sleazy techniques. If you want to receive daily support, join our Facebook group where we do exclusive training. And also we are doing bonus sessions to give you the tools that you need to grow your business, as well as facilitating networking opportunities for you. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe right now. And what are you waiting for? Really? Subscribe. Come on. And now, without further ado, it's time to get started with episode 158. Let's hear it from Andrea Crump, how to manage your relationship while running your business. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Explode Your Expert Biz Show. And today I'm here with the one and only Andrea Crump. How you doing, Andrea?
I'm doing really well. Great to be here. Thanks, Simone.
Now, with that beautiful background, you make me feel I need to up my game right now. I told you earlier. But before we get started, and today the topic is going to be about relationship and business, and how do we manage our relationship and business. Before we get started in there, I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
And the question I have for you is, don't be scared.
You made it sound very mysterious.
Is to create some suspense. I can feel our listener now hanging on their chairs as well. Now, the question that I have for you is about style. It's about style. Now, every time I've seen you, you have been always very stylish. And
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I just finished to record another episode for the show with Zach, and we talked about style for men. So the question I wanted to ask you was, how important is a style for you on a personal level?
For me personally, it's very important. I learned a long time ago that first impressions matter and first impressions last. And certainly in business, if you want to make an impact, I would rather be the person who walks in the room and make an impact, whether it's good or bad, by the way, then I get noticed. So outside of that, style to me is very important because you create an impression, and I want to create a positive impression about me. I can't make people like me, but I certainly want to create a positive impression about me. I want to look as if I've made the effort, and if the people I'm hanging around with, I'm letting them know that they're important to me enough to make an effort for them.
And do you see also that is linked with the relationship style, impression,
Oh my
relationship?
God. Oh my God. Yes, that's one of the key areas that I look at, is about style and personal image and personal confidence. And especially if you're single, we live in an age of social media, of Instagram, you have to look good. And it's the first impression. So a lot of people come to me and say, oh, it's the personality. Why doesn't he like me for my personality? Why didn't she like me for my personality? Well, you have to start off with the first impression, and you're not even going to get to the personality stage if you don't look good. If they don't look at you and think, oh God, he's fit or she's hot, it has to be that. And then in terms of, it's true, listen, we've got to be honest about it. It's true. And then certainly in long-term relationships, there's a difference. I really want to get this out. There's a difference between love and sexual attraction. So you can love your partner with all your heart and soul, but you may not find them sexually attractive, and that can be a lot to do with your physical appearance. It needs to be addressed. So I'm glad you kind of mentioned it. It's very important. Very important.
Fantastic. It was mainly out of curiosity because I've just did this interview, and we talked about style for men, and it was men only. So I wanted to get more like a female point of view on that. So we're going to come back to the style question later on.
Okay.
Talking about sexual attraction, we're making this episode a bit spicy today. Okay, so listeners, stay tuned until the end because it's gonna be spicy. Hot. Now, you are great and helping women finding their Mr. Right.
Yes.
And we are going to explore about being an entrepreneur, being single as an entrepreneur, being a couple as an entrepreneur. So I've got a lot of questions that I want to ask you because I don't often have, we always talk about business here on this podcast, but relationship are part of it, and a huge part. So I love this topic for today. So we might overrun a bit more. Maybe I feel we have a lot to talk about. Got a lot of questions today. But how did you start? What got you into relationship?
Because of my own complete disasters in relationship. Really, that was the bottom line. If there was only so many times I could point my finger at guys and say it was their fault, I was the common denominator. So eventually I had to look at myself, and so that's what I did. I had to figure out, okay, why do I keep on getting into, if they are long-term relationships, why do they suck? And if they were short-term, why was it constantly short-term? Why did I feel so unhappy? So I just went on this personal development mission to learn about myself and my own psychology, and also about what makes men tick, because it's important to also understand yourself, but to understand the person, if you're heterosexual or if you're homosexual, doesn't really make any difference, to understand what makes your partner tick. So that was my mission. I went on a mission to find out about myself and female psychology and men and male psychology and how they come together. And that's what I discovered the biggest problems was the communication styles, very, 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 very different. And if we don't get that right, the relationship will either not start or it won't last.
Can you give an example of a date you had that went really wrong?
Oh God, really? Oh my God, there was too many. Thank you very much, Simone.
You're welcome. You're welcome. My pleasure.
There was one, oh God, kind of cringing at myself actually. There was a guy that I met, and he was okay looking. It was online dating, and I thought, you've got to give people a chance because you don't know, it's online dating. And so we met up, and I thought, I'm not quite sure if it was my type, but he was a nice guy. And then we were just out of the restaurant, and I just saw him ordering loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of food, and it was really. He just said, "Do you want this?" I'm like, "No, I don't want that." "Oh, well, I'll have it." So by the time that the whole table was filled with loads of food, And he just sat there and literally ate the whole table. And I just thought, in my head, I just thought, yeah, I think he got a bit of a weight problem here, and you're not admitting to it. And all I could see, it sounds awful because I wasn't attracted to him anyway, but all I could see is, if this continues, he just might end up like a really huge guy, and that's just not for me. And then another really key thing was that, you know, I'm quite independent. I'll travel around the world. I do whatever I want to do. And I think he was in his, I don't know, late 30s at the time. And then he said he won't do any of those things until he met someone. And that was a huge red flag to me. I just think whether you're single or in a relationship, you go and live your life, because you just live your life. And I didn't want anyone dependent on me to make them happy. So I'm not as honest as I am now. I was kind of made a lame excuse. And to my embarrassment, I literally, at the end, I shot up out of my chair, ran out the door, jumped in a taxi and left. I know. I wouldn't do that again. But I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know how to handle it.
Well, I mean, he didn't play all his cards well.
No.
So he actually gave you plenty of reasons to run. But yeah, never. Poor him. I can think about him, like he just started running away. Oh my God.
I've learned.
I mean, we all have our relationship horror stories.
Yes.
Oh man, I remember this one because I didn't really understand. You know, I was born. Was born, but I'm very persistent.
Yes.
And there is, I've discovered in my teens that there is a fine line between persistence and stalking.
Yes.
So I remember I fell in love with this girl, and she was beautiful. She was everything to me. And suddenly I started popping up at random places that I know she was, but a bit too frequently.
Yeah.
You know, you have the distinction between, oh, this is a nice surprise, I didn't expect it, but it's pleasant, to what the fuck are you doing here? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, as you can imagine, that the relationship didn't last long. And I've learned a lesson.
It's difficult. I think it's difficult for guys though, because, you know, as women, most women want a guy to pursue, and so we kind of see it's your job to pursue, and you want to pursue, but it's like, yeah, where's the fine line? When yeah.
So let's go around and flip it around. Tell me the best, one of the biggest love stories that you've been able to facilitate by working with some of your clients.
Oh, I think, well, my best one is happening very recently. She's actually getting married this Saturday. I know, so I'm not going to the wedding. I was the first person she told.
No way.
Yeah, the first person to tell that she got engaged, and she's just lovely. She's very high profile in the media, and I came recommended to her. She was 38 when we met, and she just had enough. She really didn't have any serious relationship. Well, she had one, and when I asked her about it, I said, okay, so what's going on? Well, it doesn't seem to be working so well. How long have you been together? 2 years. Okay, so, you know, how often do you see each other? I saw him 2 years ago. What do you mean you saw him 2 years ago? He doesn't live in this country. Oh, so is this a relationship? So in her mind, she thought they were in a relationship. He kept on saying, I'll come back when I'm ready, when I've sorted my life out over in whichever country it was. And I just said, right, okay, stop, please, just stop. This is not a relationship. And that's what I see a lot of women struggle the most, is that understanding what is a real relationship. And so imagine that's where we began. No children. That was the guy in her life. Never done online dating or anything like that. She's very successful, very career focused. So we started off with like, okay, your career is very important, but you're at a stage now that you want to meet someone, so your focus has to shift. And that was the biggest struggle, to help her to shift. But when we did that, she did everything I asked her to do. Brilliant. And she just went socializing, she went dancing, she went to concerts, she was going out to dinner, she went online, and she became really open-minded, and she was very specific in what she was looking for. And within less than 3 months, without fail, when clients come to me, I call it the woo-woo effect. The magic happens. And this guy, literally, he appeared out of nowhere. He was already in her circle of friends, but they'd never met. So when she was doing the coaching with me, she started to tell her female friends, I'm looking for a relationship. They introduced her to this guy. At first, he wasn't quite sure. He actually said, I'm not interested in any relationship. He was very clear. 1 week later, that magic happened. Something changed within him. And then he messaged her and said, actually, I would like to take you out on a date. And she was like, really? They went on a date, clicked. That was it. In less than 3 months. In less than 9 months, they got engaged. In less than a year, they're getting married on Saturday.
Oh my God! Well, congratulations. We wish you the best. We wish you the best for the future, for the children that you're gonna have, for the marriage. So now this is a beautiful segue, because you mentioned that your client was very career focused, and that's how we are as entrepreneurs. Yes. I mean, our average working day on a day off is 15 hours a day.
It's more like 25 hours.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said on a day off. It's 15 hours. And where do we find time for relationship? Is very difficult. I found it personally, on one side, very challenging. Managing a relationship at the beginning and the start of a business. So let's start from the scenario where you have someone, and we can be female focused because you work with women. We did the episode with Zach, he was male focused, so now man, I'm sorry for you, but today we're going to make happy our female audience here. Woman driven, want to be really successful, already really successful, single.
Yes.
She wants a relationship.
Yes.
But she doesn't know how to manage things.
Well, the first place has to start with your mindset in terms of where's your priority. And that's why I always start with my clients, because most of them are very successful in business or entrepreneurs or very high level in their corporate career. And I say to them, well, if you look at how you've gotten to where you are right now, what did it take? And they say it took dedication, it took focus. And I said, and priority. And I said, that's exactly the way you have to treat getting into a potential relationships and maintaining a healthy, loving relationship. If you're not willing to do that, it's not going to happen. So they have to start there with actually saying, well, this is a priority in my life right now. And for me to make this happen, I have to change my mind and then look at how I need to change my lifestyle in order to create the space so I can go out and attract and meet a great guy. So you have to make that decision first. If you're not willing to, then you're being silly in terms of you're limiting yourself with potentially meeting someone.
Do you find that there is a difference between and if yes, then which one is the difference between men which are very driven and career focused or business focused, and women that are very driven, career focused, business focused in the way they approach the dating relationship scene?
I think in terms of dating, this is what I've seen. I think I've seen women who are very driven and career focused. They approach their dates as if it's a business transaction. And that's where it falls down. So they'll go in and sit in with the guy, and then they'll talk about how much they're earning, how they built their business. And it's all about that. And it's kind of like goals. How many goals have I got? How many results have I got? And there's no romance there. And so I don't think men do it in the same way. They'll certainly want to go on a date and say, well, this is what I do, because they're proud of what they do. They want to show I've got the income to invest in you. I'm sorting myself out.
I can take care of you.
Yeah, I can take care of you. It's very, very important. So I think women can approach their dates in that way, which is a bad mistake. So in that sense, I do think they approach dating slightly differently. And I've seen a lot of mistakes that women have made, is that they assume that the guy's looking for a woman who's equally as driven, who's as high as he is or has the highest income. And I'm telling them it isn't that. What matters to him is whether, and you tell me, you're a guy, whether you first of all, whether you fancy her or not, whether you find her sexually attractive, because it doesn't matter as a woman if you're a millionaire.
Is she hot?
Is she hot?
Is she hot?
So that's it.
Thank you.
It's true. If he doesn't fancy you, forget it. It doesn't matter if you drive a Ferrari or you've got £1 billion. It doesn't matter. He's got to fancy you. This is basics.
Otherwise, you'll find a gold digger.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about loving relationships. So there are people that are just after money, but we're not talking about this scenario. So first of all, is she hot or is he hot?
Yeah.
These are the things. We need to have that.
We've got to have to. I mean, women are looking for their terminology would be like, do I feel the chemistry? Do I feel the spark? That's what she would use, and a gal would say, well, is she hot? So if it's not there,
which is basically the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing, isn't it? Really, that's it.
So when a woman says, "Oh, there was no chemistry," it means it wasn't hot enough.
That's it. Game over. He was basically, he was probably too nice. He didn't have that. He didn't have that confidence or that swag. That's what she's looking for.
Wow. Okay, got it. Now, so we said how we approach the scene, and we need to be committed. So a woman or a man, they need to be incredibly committed, like they build their business and putting the same amount of focus, determination, and dedication also to make their relationship work.
Yes.
Now, what I found very difficult, and I want to explore this on a female and a male perspective as well, what I found very challenging was the fact that the business took up so much of my life that then when I started putting a lot of focus in the relationship, then the business started going down.
Yes.
And I think there is, depends of course what kind of business you run. If you're running a big business, you have staff and you have more free time, that's different. But if you are, one person, 2 people, 3 people in your company, is a moment where you're having like a fast growth company and you have a lot of things happening, or maybe you want to make things happen. And so how then do you balance so you move forward with both of them without dropping one? And does it make sense?
Yeah. Well,
cool.
For me, it's about the communication. So, if this was you, it'd be very important to let her know, which you should be asking those questions anyway, asking you what stage in life are you at right now. And if you're at the beginning of like building a business and she wants to be with you, she actually needs to understand that most of your focus is going to go on building your business. So it's very important to explain to the woman or the woman to find out where are they at in the sense of their business life. What stage is that? Is it the beginning, is it the middle, or are things just ticking over? And so wherever that's at, it's important for the male certainly to communicate to her where it's at, the level of time that he can commit to her. If he's genuine about her and wants to be with her, he has to tell her, well, this is how much I can commit to you in terms of my time. I want us to be together. Is that okay with you? So it's about having an open dialogue so both of you can at least discuss where you're at and get onto the same page. And you have to keep on doing that because, as you know, with business, it goes up and down. And, like you said, it kind of can go crazy at this moment. So it's important for you to know that you have to be with a woman. And this is you understand this. If you want this career-driven guy, which a lot of women want, she needs to understand that he's going to put a lot of his time and focus on building the business to get the finances so you can be safe and happy and create the family if that's what you want. So it's about understanding where you're at and both of you being able to communicate effectively with each other and be patient. Otherwise it's going to be constant arguments. But at the same time, it's important for whoever's the most driven, say if it's the guy who's running the business, he also has to think, well, she's also a priority. So it comes back to the same thing that I might want £1 million business, but how is important to me if it means I lose the relationship? So it might just mean a shift. Okay, maybe it's $750,000 instead of $1 million next year. You know what I mean? Because I was reading like this article of a nurse. She's a palliative based over in Australia, and she when she was nursing the patients who were dying, she recorded their stories, and she asked them what were their biggest regrets. And the biggest regret was that they worked too hard, and that they didn't love enough or be happy enough. And so, it's in the top 5 regrets that they worked too hard. And so I want people to hear that message now, that whilst it's important, it's certainly in the West, in what we build and create, if you want to leave a legacy, it means nothing if you don't have anyone to share it with. It means absolutely nothing. And when women come to me, because as I coach women, their biggest regret is that they've got the house, they've got the career, they've got the car, they can go on all these fabulous female holidays, but they feel as if something's missing. So you can have all the trappings and all the finances, but if you don't have anyone to share it with, life can be empty.
I completely agree with you in this regard, and it's something that I found as well, and I think is about the level of commitment and how much do you care about a person.
Yes.
For example, recently got married, and she is the woman I want to spend my life with.
Yeah.
Now, without the relationship, I found myself that I was consistently prioritizing business, and somehow they ended because they weren't sustainable. I was spending enough time with them, and or ended the relation, or they ended the relationship. But this time, I didn't want this to happen, so I forced myself to take time off, even when. Oh my God. And the fights that was putting up. Oh no, because I can't take time off because we have this going on and we have this launch and we have these events that we have to run. And then she's like, do you want to be together?
Yeah.
Because I want to go on holiday. Okay. Yes, I want to be together. So I guess the launch can wait. And that ended up being a problem. Ended up being a problem.
Yes.
And that situation made me realize, yes, it's okay to switch off. It's okay to go away for 2 weeks and not look at the business. As long as the proper communication is out, then things are going to be fine. Nothing is going to explode dramatically. And but now I have another question, which is about, let's say that now the woman is the driven, career focused, and the man is on having a good job, not very ambitious. Do you think would work a relationship in that dynamic?
What I've seen is that it's a struggle, and it can often be a struggle because if the woman's more driven and more successful than her partner, she can often look at him and see him as less than. And that's the problem. He may be the most incredible, great guy, but so oftentimes she has an image in her head that she needs to be with a guy who's more driven than her, who's more successful than her. And I genuinely have seen this be the biggest problem. And so what I help the women with is to see, okay, well, what is it that you're actually looking for in a relationship? Is it important that he has to be as driven as you? Is it as important that he has to have as much money as you? Is it really that important? So that's why I help them shift to what's important to them in terms of their values, what makes them happy. And so if she's with a guy who, and this is most of my scenarios actually, is that the women are very successful and the men aren't. But the problem is that these women were going for the men who were equally as successful as them and equally as driven, but they weren't happy. So this is a really big turnaround for them. So typically the guys they're with aren't as successful. And so then I asked them, okay, well, what is he doing for you? Because that's the most important thing. It's not about the success, it's about how is he treating you as a human being. And so without fail, but all the ones that get into relationships when they come to me, it's like, well, he gets up and makes me breakfast. He texts me and messages me all the time. He's always there for me. He thinks about me constantly, and he loves me. He wants to be with me. He wants to have a family with me. And I'm like, well, that's it. This is it. He doesn't have to have 10 houses. What's matter is how you're being treated, and do you feel happy? Does he want to make you happy? And so once they get it, it's on. Then it's perfect. Until they get it, it's a struggle. And I've seen it gets to the point of a struggle where they end up ending the relationships, and then maybe years later they end up regretting it. And I don't want that to happen, really.
Is there an element of personal values and things that matter to one person more than another person in finding the right person to spend your life with, or to find the right partner as well?
I'm not sure I understand. I think they have to have the same values.
Right. No, what I mean is, do you find that women that let's say the women that you've worked with, are they looking for the same things in men, or every woman is different, they would look for different things?
No, it's all cliches. It's always powerful, strong, tall. Tall is a big one. Tall, dark, and handsome.
I'm going. I'm leaving.
And honestly, it's so true. It's a primal thing, it's a very animal thing, which we can't deny. And so it's always tall, successful, oftentimes, and the alpha male, the strongest of the pack, so to speak. I would say that's very generic, and that's what most women respond to, and that's what they think is best for them. So I do think it's I think people are looking for the same, so they think, but then when it comes to actually connecting with someone, they may realize actually those things aren't as important. And the same with men. I think men find it easier, because I think men are more honest in the sense of they will never consider any woman unless they fancy them, really. Whereas a woman might consider, she considers.
Or there are two situations, or someone is desperate, and he's like, hey, if and it's like, one, I don't care, as long as she breathes, I'm fine. Yeah. And then you have when you go past this desperate factor, and then you can actually choose. Then it becomes different, and you're looking for, first of all, is she attractive? Yeah. And can she cook a good meal?
I disagree. I bet now, even if as desperate as you are with a guy, you'll hook up. I mean, women do it as well. You'll hook up with someone, but in the back of your mind, you're still looking.
Right? Yeah, you know that you are hooking up with that person because you're desperate.
Yes.
And okay, so you don't. I see what you mean. I see. You know you're doing it, but you don't care at the moment because you're too desperate to care. Yes. I got it. We're all looking for a different thing. I mean, we're looking for. I agree with you. We're looking. I think on the surface, that's what I'm hearing you saying. You have on the surface, men are looking for same things. Women are looking for same things, but then on a deeper level, then every woman will have a slightly different need. Yes. On top of the needs that every woman has, and then or something which is more important for them.
Yes.
I'm thinking
there's like the generic male psychology and the generic female psychology. With hormonally, women are different, the same, men are the same, and socialization. But then the personal psychology is like, what are their personal values? How did they bring up? So that's when it becomes different.
That's brilliant. I'm loving this conversation. I have a couple more questions before we wrap up. I want to now talk about when people are in relationships.
Yes.
So now, let's say you find the man, or you find the woman of your dreams, and you are in a relationship, and you are an entrepreneur. What I found is that I don't know, and that's something I need to always keep myself in check, which is the tendency then to become complacent.
Yes. Yeah.
Because now, as I got what I wanted. I'm married. I made it. I've got a hot wife. She's awesome. She's very driven. She is a caring. She's the perfect woman in the world. Oh. And I found myself getting complacent. Yes. And she said, "You're getting complacent." Yes. Well, how do you deal with, or how do you can you prevent the fact of being complacent in a relationship?
Well, because I focus on women, I show women how to not be complacent, and I tell them not to be complacent for the main reason that attraction over a long-term relationship is very, very, very important. And so some of the key things are like not to let yourself go. Really, I've said so, you know, even though I coach women, lots of guys obviously talk to me and they tell me all their secrets. They want me to pass on the message. And, it's quite funny.
Yeah, hashtag keep shaving.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. It's true. And so, you know, for the female audience, it's the women, the ones who've gotten into relationships, and maybe I'll see them a year, 2 years down the line, and they rock up and I think, what are you wearing? Why are you wearing that? And she goes, well, I don't need to make an effort anymore. Like, what, are you insane? It's like, you absolutely still need to make the same level of effort as you did when you first met him, because that was the person you fell in love with. That's the person he was attracted to. So, you know, when you met and you were always wearing little heels or your dresses or whatever it was, and then now you're in sweatpants every day, you have to understand his level of attraction for you is going to go down. It is. So I showed the women that it's important to keep that image to the standard of when he first met. This weight has come up a lot. And if you've gained a lot of weight, like an excess amount of weight, I want her to understand, and the guys too, because it doesn't matter which gender, that again, attraction may go down. And so it's important for you to understand, if you want to keep her interested in you, what are you going to do about it? For the woman to understand, if you want him to remain interested in you, what are you going to do about it? And so, you know, people can make, you know, typically it would be a woman who want to have date nights. That would be a very female thing. And so that's great. It can be very romantic. But when I spoke at the beginning, it's about understanding your partner's psychology. So maybe a date night for him, maybe to go, I don't know, play poker, or I don't know, go to like go watch race cars or something. I don't know, play the Wii Nintendo, something, whatever boys do. You know, so it's kind of like you have to think about your partner. What turns them on? Let's get basic here. What turns them on? You should be having these conversations. So when I spoke about the conversation at the beginning of communication, ask your partner, what turns you on? Some people are afraid to ask because they may think they can't fulfill it. But you shouldn't be in that relationship in the first place if you're not going to have these types of conversations. So ask them, what turns you on? What gets you excited? And you make the effort to do those things. And it doesn't have to be these big things. But if you do these small things, that keeps the relationship alive.
So this has been a brilliant interview, because a relationship and personal relationship are an important part of our life.
Yes.
And in particular, as entrepreneurs, and we are focused on as in building our business, then we can forget to put importance, and to give that importance is actually is needed or required, or actually we feel is important. Not everyone was the same level of relationship. Everyone is different. We understand that. But it's a part of your life. It's a part of the whole that you are. And that's why I recommend you to listen to what Andrea is saying today, because it can make a difference in your life, in the way you live your life, in the way you're enjoying your life, in the things that make your life richer, not just wealthier.
Yes, I like
we can put it in this way. So I have 2 more questions before we wrap up. You've been a GTeX Lifetime member for a while, and I wanted to ask you, what was the most valuable thing that you had or you found by being part of the Lifetime membership?
For me, it was the focus, I think. So it challenged me to remain focused with, because you're very active on Facebook. So then I'd see your videos or I'd see your posts. And so there may be things that I would needed to hear that, what you'd say would be relevant to me. So I think it's that focus that's been the most beneficial for me personally.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And guys, if you want to apply to become a GTeX member, there is a link below here in the show notes. So just click the link. You will jump on a call with Dean or Siawash or Caroline, and then they will tell you a bit more about how to become a GTeX member and join our GTeX family. Now it's time to wrap up the interview. Andrea, I loved every single second. We had a lot of fun. I told you that it was going to. I told you guys that it was going to be spicy today, and so we're gonna be the spice in your relationship and your life with this interview. Now, if you want to keep this spice alive, make sure you need to connect with Andrea. So, how can people? Okay, how can people connect with you?
Okay, well, everything's under my name, which is Andrea Crump. I'm sure you'll have all the written information. So you just go straight to my website, www.andreacrump.co.uk. You'll find me on Facebook, Andrea Crump Love Coach. I also have my own YouTube channel, Andrea Crump Love Coach. So you'll find me all across social media. So come and connect with me. Say hi.
Yeah, and I recommend you to watch her YouTube videos
Yes.
because they are like, if you're looking for your Mr. Right,
yes,
then they are the best resource you can find online.
Yes,
I've
thank you.
I've seen a lot of them. Not that I'm looking for my Mr. Right,
Yeah.
but I've seen a lot of your videos, and they were top notch in terms of quality, content, and the work that you put out there is absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
So, guys, make sure you connect with Andrea. The links are going to be in the show notes. Connect with her, follow her, and if you are at that stage where you're like, oh, I actually think I need to take my relationship, my dating life seriously, and you know it's important for you, then make sure you contact Andrea because she is the best person to work with. She is absolutely the best person to work with. Fabulous. Thank you very much, Andrea, for being with us today. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the show, subscribe right now so you don't miss any other spicy episode that we are going to do in the future. And leave us a review. 5-star, of course, letting us know what did you enjoy the most about the show today with Andrea. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time. And remember that together we grow exponentially. Ciao.